Jerry Spinelli. We know the character's real name is Jeffrey, but now he's Maniac Magee. Maniac Magee. Maniac Magee.
Why, good morning, sixth graders. We're going to get right back into our reading of Maniac Magee. We left off on page 99. And if you remember, there's a bit of a cliffhanger. Certainly a bit of a reveal. The character Grayson, at the end of the chapter 26, said to Maniac in a confession, "So, why don't you go ahead and teach me how to read?" So we realize that despite being a grown-up man, an older gentleman, he cannot read. So let's all turn to page 100. It's just after the 100th day of school. It seems appropriate. Page 100, chapter 27. The story he told now was not about baseball. It was about parents who were drunk a lot and always leaving him on his own. About being put in classes where they just cut paper and played games all day. About a teacher who whispered to a principal just outside the classroom door, "This bunch will never learn to read a stop sign." Right then and there, as if to make the teacher right, he stopped trying. The part I didn't tell about Bluefield, I was only 15. I ran away. The kid and the old man climbed into the pickup. They made 3 stops. First, they stopped by the park office at the zoo, where Grayson told the superintendent he just wanted to work part-time for a while, in the afternoons. "Fine," said the superintendent. "Just so you don't expect to get paid full-time." Then they went to the library book sale, racks and Then they went to the library book sale racks and bought about 20 old picture books, such as The Story of Babar, and Mike Mulligan's Steam Shovel, and The Little Engine That Could. Then they went to Woolworth's for a small portable blackboard and a piece of chalk. Within 3 days, Grayson had the alphabet down pat, the shapes and the sounds. After a week, he could read 10 one-syllable words. But he was reading them from memory. It took another couple of weeks before he began to get the hang of sounding out words he had never seen before. The old man showed an early knack for consonants. Sometimes he got M and N mixed up. But the only one that gave him trouble day in and day out was C. It reminded him of a bronc some cowboy dared him to ride in his Texas League days. He would saddle up that C, climb aboard, and grip the pommel for dear life, and old C, more often than not, it would just throw him. Whenever that happened, he'd just climb right back on and ride her some more. Pretty soon, C saw who was boss and gave up the fight. But even at their orneriest, consonants were fun. Vowels were something else. He didn't like them, and they didn't like him. There were only 5 of them, but they seemed to be everywhere. Why, you could go through 20 words without bumping into some of the shyer consonants, but it seemed as if you couldn't tiptoe past a syllable without waking up a vowel. Consonants, you knew pretty much where they stood, but you could never trust a vowel. To the old pitcher, they were like his own best knuckleball come back to haunt him. In, out, up, down. Not even the pitcher, much less the batter, knew which way it would break. He kept swinging and missing. But the kid was a good manager. Page 102. And he was tough. He would never let him slink back to the showers, but kept sending him back up to the plate. The kid used different words, but in his ears, the old minor leaguer heard, "Keep your eye on it, hold your swing, watch it all the way in, don't be anxious, just make contact." And soon enough, that's what he was doing. nailing those vowels on the button, riding them from consonant to consonant, syllable to syllable, word to word. One day, the kid wrote on the blackboard, "I see the ball." And the old man studied it a while and said slowly, gingerly, "I see the ball." Maniac whooped. "You're reading!" "I'm reading," yipped the old man. His smile was so wide, he'd have to break it into sections to fit it through the doorway. Chapter 28, 103. The first book Grayson read cover to cover was The Little Engine That Could. It took almost an hour, and it was the climax to a long evening of effort. At the end, the old man was sweating and exhausted. The kid's reaction surprised him. He didn't run and yippee like he did after the first sentence. He just stayed in the far corner, seated on a stuffed and lumpy equipment bag. He had kept his distance all during the reading, letting Grayson know there would be no cheating. He had to do it on his own. Now he was just staring at Grayson, a small smile coming over his face. And now he was making a fist and clenching it towards Grayson, and he said, "Amen." "What's that?" "Amen." "What's that for? Who prayed?" "I learned it in the church I used to go to. You don't have to wait for a prayer. You say it when somebody says something or does something you really like." He hopped off the bag, thrust both hands to the ceiling, and shouted, "Amen!" Page 104, the top. And suddenly, the kid was hugging him, squeezing with a power you never suspected was in that little body, unless you had seen him pole a baseball almost to the trees in dead center field. "Okay," said Maniac, clapping his hands. "What'll it be? I'll be the cook. Whatever you want." Maniac had a toaster oven now, compliments of his whiskered friend. In fact, little by little, Grayson had brought him a lot of things. A chest of drawers for his clothes, a space heater, a 2-foot refrigerator, hundreds of paper dishes and plastic utensils, blankets, a mat to sleep on, which the kid ignored, preferring the chest protectors. In time, the place was homier than his own room at the Y. "How about a corn muffin?" said Grayson, choosing something easy on his bad teeth and aching gums. Maniac went to the bookcase that served as a pantry. "1 corn muffin coming up. Toasted?" "Yeah, why not?" "Butter?" "Sure, butter." "Something to drink with that, sir?" "Nah, muffin's enough." "The apple juice is excellent, sir. It was a great year for apples." "Live it up," thought Grayson. "Yeah, okay, apple juice. Coming right up, sir." After the snack, the kid proved himself as good a mind reader as a cook. "Why don't you stay overnight?" he said. "It's late." While he groused about so preposterous an idea, the kid laid down the mat he never used, bulldogged him down to it, pulled off his shoes, and draped a blanket over him. He protested. "This is supposed to be yours, though." The kid patted his chest protectors. I'm okay. And he knew that was the truth of it. The old man gave himself up willingly to his exhaustion and drifted off like a lazy, sky-high fly ball. Something deep in his heart, unmeasured by his own consciousness, soared, unburdened, for the first time in 37 years. Since the time he had so disgraced himself before the Mudhens, before their scout, and named himself thereafter a failure. The blanket was there, but it was the boy's embrace that covered and warmed him. When somebody does something you really like, amen, the old man whispered into the cornmeal and baseball-scented darkness.
Maniac Magee, written by Jerry Spinelli. We know the character's real name is Jeffrey, but now he's Maniac